Okay, so I just want to talk about or express something that's on my mind, and it has to do with Alcoholics Anonymous. So I am in recovery, obviously, and my drug of choice was methamphetamine. I used meth for 20 something years every day. Um, I wouldn't consider myself an alcoholic, but um, I also don't necessarily believe that I have a disease, right? However, when you when you decide to go to treatment, or you decide you need help for to get off of drugs or quit drinking or whatever it is that you have no control over anymore, it has control over you. Um, Whenever you decide that you need help with that, you're gonna go to rehab, right? Rehab is usually like a 30-day thing. Anyway, 90%, I would say like 95% of treatment centers are based on Alcoholics Anonymous, which, as someone who's been in treatment many, many times, I don't even know the exact number, anywhere from 10 to 15 treatments centers. Um, I'd honestly say that every time I went, and I did not embrace the 12-step program. I also did not realize that my life was in shambles as much as it was. I didn't realize the severity of my situation, and I couldn't foresee how much worse it was going to get at that time if I didn't stop. Um, so the reason I'm talking about this right now is because when I came to California to get sober, this was the last attempt that I went to treatment, 30 days. Of course, they tell you gotta find a sponsor, and I did. I came here thinking, Lindsay, you need to have an open mind, because at this point, you don't really have any ideas. I don't have any solutions, and I'm desperate to make a change. I just want different for myself, and so I convinced myself that I needed to be open-minded, and I'm glad I did, because um, that kept me open to hope, right? So anyhow, I found a sponsor, um, and I had that sponsor for a whole year. The first year I was here, and I only made it to the third step with her. Went to a lot of meetings, and in the beginning of sobriety, it helped. It was a distraction because my mind I wasn't able to sit with myself for very long. I needed to always be doing something to distract myself from going in the depths, the darkness of my mind about, negativity, depression. So distractions was big, and meetings were a distraction for me in the beginning. I can honestly say that's probably the most beneficial thing I got out of AA, except for the 12 steps, but and the principles. So the AA's principles are they they they're all about fellowship, right? That's what these meetings are supposed to be about, fellowship, and it helps. When you're in early sobriety, you go sit down in a room full of people. Everybody there has the same problem as you. You don't feel less than. You don't feel there's camaraderie in that. There's a lot of benefits for that, for being, in early sobriety. But I realized early on in sobriety that I needed to have an open mind, but at the same time, I had to completely change my identity. I needed to be somebody new. I needed to think differently, completely differently. I needed to, kind of disassociate with my old self, the old me who smoked meth for so long, like that. I had to create someone new. To be somebody new, I had to create somebody new. Um, that doesn't happen overnight, right? So anyway, meetings, I started feeling, after about a year in sobriety, going to meetings started feeling suppressing. It started feeling like I didn't want to be part of that crowd that needed to get an applause for having 12 months sobriety. Not that I'm too good, right? I appreciate the support, but like, I'm not here just to be sober. I'm not here just to remember every day, come to a meeting and remind myself of the mistakes I made in my past, right? Like there's a very there's a lot of advantages, and there's a lot to be said about acknowledging your past, for sure. Acknowledging where you came from. Um, and then there's also a lot to be said about dwelling on that, right? And continuing to carry that with you moving forward. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. It didn't make sense to me to go to a meeting and then you have to follow the rules. You have to say, "Hi, I'm Lindsay, I'm an addict." Well, I'm not an addict anymore. I'm not using drugs anymore. It's safe to say I think I have, like, I don't know, 600 and something days sober. Almost, I'm like over a year and a half, almost 2 years sober. I think it's safe to say that I don't have to say I'm an addict still. I haven't, compared to the lifestyle when I used meth every day for 20 something years. I mean, that's a lot of time, right? And I still have a lot of work to do on myself. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I did a lot of damage to not only my brain, but I did a lot of damage to my self-esteem, my self-worth, and I never knew normal because I started doing drugs at 13 years old. I didn't know normal. No, it's not like I was 25, had a normal life, knew what it was like to function as a normal human being, and then got addicted to drugs. No, I started using at 13 and I didn't know anything else. So I essentially am I'm learning how to live a completely different life. Nothing like I've known. So with that said, like, the thing is, I'm part of my who I want to be. That's what I think about. Who do I want to be? I have to make sure that I cross all my T's, dot all my I's when it comes to myself, right? I want to cover every base. I want to make sure that I'm doing everything I can to create the best chance of success for my long term, not only sobriety, but life. For me to create the life that I want, a life I love, right? Which 2 years ago didn't seem possible. So, anyhow, I'm struggling with this right now because I have a new sponsor, because part of my becoming somebody new, right? Like, I used to be a quitter. I never finished anything. So since I've been here, I got to do the opposite of what I used to do. I used to never complete things. I don't even think I ever finished a book in my life prior to being in sobriety. So I have to do things thorough, right? I have to have integrity. I have to make choices, the right choices. And I'm not perfect, but let me just say, the right choices when nobody's looking at. Because why? I for myself, to benefit me, not for anybody to be proud of me, not for anybody else's standards, but so I can be proud of me. My standards, I hold myself to a higher standard than anybody else holds me to, and I fall short of that a lot. But I'm so far better off than I was, and I'm on my way to just an amazing life. My whole thing is, why am I gonna dwell on everything about the past when it's in the past? I have a sad story. I have a sob story. I could sit here and analyze it to death. I can sit here and say, I have a disease. My addiction's not my fault. No, I made all those choices. I don't have a fucking disease. I'm not going to say I have a disease, and I'm not going to call myself an addict when it's not congruent with where I'm at right now in my life. It doesn't make sense. I have my theories about this, okay? Because it's almost like it's a setup to get you to go back. If you can get someone to say they're an addict and never forget they're an addict, what are the chances of them becoming addicted to drugs again? Probably very likely. Um, my whole thing is, after being sober for almost a year or so, it didn't work out with my first sponsor. In the meantime, I have started school. I'm just focusing on studying. I'm just doing everything that I can think of within my own mind, right? And my own, like, I'm, everything I'm creating, I'm coming up with in myself. I'm like, okay, how can I do this better? Where can I, if I can't think of a solution that maybe can work for this or that, where can I look for a solution? Where can I read? What can I Google for a solution? And being a seeker and a solution, right? There's always solutions. So um I'm really, there's nothing better to help your self-esteem and your self-worth than to take radical responsibility, like radical accountability for your life. Because how can you not be proud of yourself when you're doing everything you can, when and then your results on top of that, it's amazing when you do everything you can to try to achieve something. When you put your effort in, a lot of effort in, everything you're capable of, right? Sometimes my capabilities on this day are not that great. Like, I'll take 3 naps, because I'm a little, like, not feeling a little depressed, a little unsure, then, so the next day, but I still did my best, right? And not only that, I didn't smoke meth. That's wonderful. So that means I'm still making headway. um Two, I forgot where I was going with that, but anyway, my whole thing is, like, I'm gonna make my life, my future, I'm gonna do everything I can, which there are a lot of things people can do. Sometimes we feel like our hands are tied, to we don't have options. That's not true. That's a mindset that you need to throw out the window, because if you start seeking for solutions and you want the solution, you're gonna get it. The universe, God will serve it. Um, so my thing is, okay, I'm just gonna create such a compelling life for myself. Like, I'm talking compelling. May not be compelling to everybody. For me, so compelling that I don't even think about the past. The past has no control over me anymore. And you also know that I heard somebody on a podcast saying that, like, a lot of what you remember, especially when drugs are involved and your brain chemistry's off, not everything you remember is going to be accurate. Especially, that's just for a normal human being too, right? Like, years and years go by, like, you don't, who's to say what the variation of the truth is? And that's just real talk. Like, could have been way worse than I'm thinking, could have been way better than I thought. But why would I let that have any control over me? It's in the past, right? Like, I'm not saying there's no benefit to healing, because I'm still working on healing myself, right? But um when you make yourself, I'm just making my future so compelling to me that I don't even know who that person was 3 years ago smoking meth. No idea. Don't care. Don't care what happened when I was 10. Don't care what happened when I was 5. Don't care what happened when my mom left me at my aunt's house and for a while I don't care anymore. Those doesn't really matter. Today, right now, I am doing so good that I'm not gonna let any narrative from the past affect my peace. Even on my bad days, right? So, like, I got called out by my professor. I didn't do an assignment. I did it wrong, completely wrong. Like, it was our first week in this class, and I did it. I tried. Anyway, I felt stupid, okay? And my whole, like, for 2 days, I was feeling like, I don't like this. This is not, anyway. I don't quit anymore, right? And that's another reason why I found another sponsor, because I don't like to quit anymore. I'm not a quitter, right? like, if I say I'm gonna finish something, I started those 12 steps with the intention of finishing them. And I've never in my life made it past the fourth step. The fourth step is a step where a lot of people relapse, whatever. You dig up a lot of stuff. You're really focused. You're really conjuring up a lot of stuff that doesn't feel good, that doesn't. Okay, how much of it's accurate? Again, who knows? So I found a new sponsor, and I've been. I just completed my fourth step the other day, right? I don't go to a lot of meetings because I'm not going to say I'm an addict. If I do go to a meeting, this is what I say. Hi, I'm Lindsay. I'm clean and sober today. And you know what? Everybody looks at me funny. Why? Apparently that's very disrespectful of me to not follow the traditions, right? Fuck your traditions. That's all I have to say. Because I don't think they're that helpful for some. And you know what? If that's the way that works for you, I support you. I'm for you. I'm for your ways if it works for you. And my ways work for me. I don't want to say I'm an addict anymore. Your words have power. What you say about yourself. And even though it's just a word, right? Everyone's like, just say it. What's the big deal? To me, it's a huge deal. To my life, because I'm not that anymore. And that is a fucking huge deal. Probably the biggest deal ever, you know? So why would I compromise on something like that? As you know, what's minor to them is not. It's very important to me. And I get a lot of shit. So I don't really go to that many meetings anymore. But however, I am finished my 4-step with my sponsor. And I just want to say I have felt like shit for the last week. I don't know, I started a new course in school, there's a lot going on, but man, when I didn't really, it doesn't feel right at this point. I do see the value in the 12 steps, especially in early sobriety, but the thing is there's all these conditions. You gotta make sure that your sponsor is right for you, right? That's not that easy to do. It's not easy to find a great sponsor, obviously. I've never made it past the 4th step. And you gotta find, I don't know. AA's never, I'm just gonna be straight up, it's never been a huge part of my recovery. It's been me and God. Me and God, and me trying to be aware, me trying to be aware. The principles, the 12 steps of principles, I think they're a fantastic way to look at life, right? The process of the 12 steps, which anybody could do, even if you're not an addict, it would benefit anybody, right? It's just a way to reflect on yourself, see where you need to take accountability, make amends if you've done something wrong, to somebody. And to be honest, I'm still living and sober living with people who are very early in sobriety, and I've been there. It's fine. It's just triggering. It's hard. I'm really trying to keep my mind, protect my mindset from my past. They say that most people need 1 year in sober living. I've been doing it for almost 2 years, and I've maintained A's and B's in school, right? I've maintained I have accomplished quite a bit for me, for myself, considering. And I'll be done with school in about October, so that's 7 months away. Anyway, I don't know. I don't think I'm sitting here and I'm just I really want to throw my Alcoholics Anonymous book away, I also want to say that I'm not saying it doesn't help people. For me, it just doesn't, I don't appreciate the way that the culture of AA can be quite hypocritical, I should say. And I really was gonna throw my big book away, right? But I'm not. I decided that I'm gonna meet I'm supposed to meet. I'm on step. I finished my 4th step. I did my 5th, my 6th, my 7th. I'm going to meet with her tomorrow morning or Friday morning, and we're going to read. And then I should be done with my 8th step. So there's only 12 steps. So, and this is the thing. I just want to complete the steps because I see the value in them. 1, 2, I said I would do them. I want to complete them. I've tried these. It's just, I want to do what I say I'm going to do, right? For my own self. Not for AA, for my own self. And, but do I plan to sponsor people in AA? You know what? I don't want to sponsor somebody. I will help anybody that needs help. I am here for sober support, any kind of support, emotional support. I've never been the type to deny to help. In fact, I go out of my way to help if I see somebody struggling. However, I'm not going to be that person who makes that my life. AA is not going to be my way of life. Sorry. And a lot of people were like, like, who does she think she is? Who does she think she is? Because it's such the norm, it's like, whatever. So, that's all.